Hey guys, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new episode of Fear the Walking Dead, and this episode is Season 2, Episode 1, Monster. Now, this episode was, well, for Fear the Walking Dead standards, this is probably one of the best episodes, probably number 2. All of the other ones were pretty bad. I mean, let's be honest, the best episode of Fear the Walking Dead is probably the last episode, which still had many flaws and was boring in some places and just bad in others. But that being said, this episode, if it were an episode of The Walking Dead, I would consider it one of the slow episodes, and I would just rank it not too badly, actually. But since this is a beginning of a season, it's pretty bad. I mean, just think about it. But it does set us up for some good future episodes, and it does sort of get its point out there, whatever it needs, and it did have some interesting elements. So if I were to rate this out of 10, I think I would give it a 7. So and this is by Fear the Walking Dead standards. If this was a Walking Dead episode, I might rank it lower, but I don't expect much with Fear the Walking Dead because it is just a cheap imitation, let's be fair. It tries to be Walking Dead, but not at the same time, and not a very good combination for a show, if you ask me. But anyway, let's hop into some of the things that happened into this episode. Now, I need my paper, of course, because I can't remember all this stuff. It has a small zombie fight at, like, the beginning of the episode, and when I saw that, I was like, alright, we're going to get some more zombies in this episode. Then I realized, wait, they're going out on a boat. There's not going to be any more zombies. They're just giving us some zombies in the beginning here for no reason. And you can see that LA is getting firebombed by the military, like in The Walking Dead. They showed in the flashback where Shane and Lori were leaving that their area was getting bombed. That's just something that was happening. I feel like if they spent this episode trying to get to the boat, that would be more interesting than just having the first 5 minutes of them getting ready to get to the boat, then getting to the boat, then the rest of the episode them on the boat. Now we're sick of the boat already. That wasn't so good. I feel like if they want to draw out this whole boat thing, first episode should have been trying to achieve getting to the boat. Next episode would be them getting on the boat, and then the episode after that would be the trouble with the boat, where they have the problem where Alicia talks to the guy and the guy ends up finding them. That would be a lot better, but instead we sort of just rush into things and we see them getting bombed. Travis is just, he keeps getting grabbed by walkers and his wife has to save him. He's such a loser. I don't like Travis too much. He's, I suppose, the main character, but my favorite character of Fear the Walking Dead is Victor Strand. If you notice, Victor Strand is not only a cool con man, and he's got great style. His suits are always cool, no matter what he's wearing, and he has that Tyrese beanie at one point. Everything he does is just so cool. He's kind of like Rick in Season 6. He's got Rick's way of living and his survival instinct that Rick has taken this long to develop right at the beginning. So you can imagine, once we get deeper into this apocalypse, if Strand survives, how much better he will become, because this dude already has a good stranglehold on this Walking Dead apocalypse. So I like him a lot, and he's my favorite character. And watching this episode, I did get to like him even more. So what I've seen of him so far from the previous season, I liked him enough to make him my favorite character then. Now it's just solidifying that, because this episode, he makes all the right choices, and though he could be a better leader, at this point he's more of just his own person, and he's not like following into any sort of leader area. He's just the captain. He's in charge of the boat. Everything else doesn't really matter to him. Like, if they're having some family discussion, he doesn't care. If someone's doing something stupid that will cause his life, then he cares. He has to make sure that his boat and himself are protected. That's just the way that you have to be to survive, really, at this point. Okay, so they run into some people along the way on their boat right after they get on there, and they see him on this barge, and Maddie and Alicia want to go save them. But of course, Strand doesn't, because Strand already knows what we know. Now, to be honest, if you were just starting out in this apocalypse, I could imagine you would want to save them. But knowing what all of us viewers know, we were like, no, people are bad, stay away from people. We know what people can do. Just because, I don't know, I think these shows are turning us into antisocial people. You think? Maybe just a little bit? Yeah, I think so. And it was just so funny watching them having this debate here, whereas if we were watching The Walking Dead, at this point, they would just be like immediately, can't trust those people, move on. They wouldn't put up with that sort of stuff, really. Or they would already have the drop on them, they would have a ton of guns and stuff, but this boat currently, they only have one gun, and they can't really trust anyone else on their boat, so it makes sense to pass them by. But then Alicia starts communicating with this guy who's named Jack, if that is his real name, and he kind of sounds like a dirtbag just from the very few seconds that we hear him, but she's already like falling for him from the sounds of it. She's like wanting to date the guy at this point. She's asking him very personal questions, and they're talking, and then she starts giving away their position and telling little things about their boat. She is an idiot, but she's supposed to be just a teenage girl, and teenage girls don't have the best decision-making skills, so I suppose that's pretty accurate in a way, right? A little bit. Okay, the question is, though, do you think that that guy Jack is like a pirate, or is he just another survivor who wants to take over their boat, or is he a normal guy? So we don't know at this point. As far as we know, he actually is a decent person, but judging by what we've seen of humans, I bet he is a bad guy, and he's probably the guy who shot up that boat that we see at the end. Anyway, Chris is acting weird in this episode. I don't like Chris's character. From the beginning, I didn't like him. He was very wimpy and, yeah, pretty much just wimpy. Everything he did just annoyed me, and he's pretty much just following up with that in this episode. He punches his father, he acts like a brat, he jumps overboard. Just useless. And then Nick in this episode actually did become slightly more likable to me, just because for once we're having an episode where he's not like either wasted or need drugs. So finally we're moving on from that. I just hated that whole, why do you have to have a character that has a drug addiction problem? That was useless. But anyway, he has a talk with Strand, and Strand tells him that why he's needed there, and it's because he's fearless. And then throughout this episode, you see Nick kind of proving that he is fearless, because he just like jumps into the water once he finds out that Chris jumped in and they don't see him. I wouldn't jump into the water immediately. I would have slight thoughts of perhaps walkers in the water or sharks in the water. Either way, you wouldn't really want to jump in, but he proves either fearless or dumb in that way. And then he swims out way farther to get a manual or a journal. It was a ship journal from that place. I think he said he heard someone's voice, right? But I think that might have just been a lie so that he could swim out there and see what was going on. And we see that once he's on the inside of that capsized boat, all the bullet holes, that tells us that whoever they ran into, most likely pirates, and they are well armed, because they were willing to shoot off at least 2,000 bullets. I mean, come on, all those holes, that was a lot of holes. Okay. And something that still bothers me, Nick is still wearing his old man clothes. After all this time, all the time, he doesn't even take off the jacket, he just keeps it all. The old man clothes. He doesn't know what happened in those clothes. And it's an old man, so it might have like soiled spots and stuff. I don't even know if it's been washed. He's thrown up in those clothing, he's gotten blood on it. Why is he still wearing that crap? You'd think he would like ask Strand for some clothing. So, I mean, they're both skinny guys. I'm sure he would fit into like a t-shirt of his or something, right? Nick is just so gross in that way. Yeah, to be honest, other than Strand, I don't really like any other of the characters. Like, if I were to pick any of the other characters to say that I liked, I guess it would be Nick, but that's really stretching it because I don't like Nick. The other characters are just very bland. You've got Travis, he's a bit of a loser. You've got Madison, she's a real neg. In this episode, she proves that she's a neg. The whole time, she's just mopey this and mad about this and nagging about that. You can't stand her for that reason. And she always has this sort of pinched-faced look where she's like, I can't stand that either. Which, that's the thing that I don't like about Fear the Walking Dead as much as I like about The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead tries to give you a ton of characters that are all likable, and then when they kill them off, it's like, no! But here, if any of these main characters were to die, other than Strand, of course, I wouldn't really feel anything. I would just feel like, okay, there's another dead character, there's another dead character, I don't care. And, I mean, Alicia's an idiot, Chris is a wimp. There's nothing to like about these main characters, really. Maybe it'll develop over time and I'll start caring, because that has happened where a character that I don't like has become something big, like Carol. Carol was a loser at first, and she became a good character. Maybe that'll happen, but maybe not. I'm not saying any definite. So, yeah, basically that's all that happens in this episode. It was sort of a small episode, and for a beginning episode, it wasn't much. So we end on a sort of cliffhanger where Strand comes out and tells them that there's a boat coming towards them, and they don't know who it is. We're guessing it's that Jack guy's boat. So I guess we'll see what happens in the next episode. Tell me what you guys thought about this episode. I'm not very good for a opener, if you ask me, but anyway. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and make sure to leave a TWD-related question in the comments below, and I will answer you in my Saturday Answers video. So, I will see you guys then. Peace.